Hi, my name is Trez Burton, and I want to speak about the current border crisis and the massive influx of illegals to our southern border, why it's going on, and how it affects us as Americans. There are thousands of children unaccompanied by parents showing up at our southern border because the signal was sent that if they could make it to American soil, that they were home free. Now, how this message was spread to the Central American countries that these children are coming from, I don't know, but this is definitely a concerted effort. This is orchestrated. I have no doubt about it, because there is no way that thousands of parents of these children in Central American countries got the same signal to send their kids on a dangerous mission to get to a foreign country. Who does that to their children? I mean, in an American mindset, that sounds crazy, but if you live in another country, being in America is like hitting the jackpot. So, I don't know. Maybe it makes sense in the mindset of a parent who stays in Guatemala or any one of these other Central American countries that these children are coming from. I mean, and they're getting up here on trains, buses, and when I say on trains and buses, that's exactly what I mean. They're on top of trains and buses by any means. They're getting here, and once they make it here, the message was sent that they'd be home free. Now, there's so many of them that, you know, the government is already talking about where we have to ship them to, and right now they're being kept in customs facilities, detention centers, federal training centers, what have you, anywhere we can put them. Now, and word is that some are going to be shipped to California. New York was mentioned. I even heard New Jersey. Some are going to be shipped to two cities here, Elizabeth and Newark. Now, that puzzles me, New York, New Jersey, and California, because all three of these states are broke. I mean, these states are on the brink of collapse anyway. Now, Virginia has been vocal about, you know, like Virginia's like, hey, don't send them here. Virginia is, I mean, they aren't playing. They are setting up to resist this, and I applaud them for that, because not much is resisted these days against this tyrannical federal government. Now, the reason behind it is this. You can believe this or not believe it, but our government is power mad, and the current ruling class, they want to stay in power. They haven't accomplished all they want to accomplish, though. Under Obama, over the last 6 years, they've made huge strides. But I guess they want the proverbial nail in the coffin, and importing an entirely new underclass of people. What that does is you have, because Americans are beginning to turn against what's going on in our country now, not as quickly as many of us would like to see, but Americans are snapping out of it. Like people who aren't necessarily political or news junkies like some of us are, they are beginning to notice that something's wrong, and I guess they can't help it, because when it's directly affecting your life, you can't help but notice it. Like since 2010, we've been screaming against Obamacare, but it was only in theory. But now that it's taken hold, arguing something in theory is a lot harder than arguing against something in practice. So now people have lost their doctors. People see how expensive Obamacare is, and we know that the whole thing was a lie. So with his administration and things falling apart now, and with him also being in his second term, not having to face the people again to vote for him, and especially being a lame duck in his last 2 years, which is usually when an administration, a two-term administration, that's the usual marker right there. In that last midterm, the tide usually turns against them. And what's predicted for 2014 is a massive Republican wave election. Maybe as big as 2010, I don't know, but we are definitely expecting to recapture the Senate. Now, how hard they'll push back against what's going on, I don't know, because the Republicans are also doing everything they can to ward off people who may go to Washington and provide some resistance to this liberal agenda. So we have a hell of a fight on our hands. But also what's being done is these people are going to be used to tip traditionally red states into the blue column, affecting the electoral college, making it where the likelihood of there ever being another Republican president is almost none. They've been trying to tip Texas for at least the last 2 decades, and a lot of these illegals are being sent to Arizona, states that are purple, that, you know, if you could get 50,000 more voters there or 30,000 more voters there, you can overwhelm the conservative Republican vote, and there you have it. You have a permanent Democrat presidency, if this takes hold and if it's allowed to take hold. And you may say, well, these are children, because by and large, these are children flooding our borders right now. Well, if you take in thousands of children, put them into the system, take care of them, put them in school, Common Core school, indoctrination, 30s Germany type school, because that is what Common Core is. Common Core is conformity. And if you feed them, you clothe them, you house them, you're building a loyal underclass. You have a generation of government loyalists now. Liberal agenda loyalists. That's what they're banking on, which makes total sense, because blacks were bought and paid for back in 1964. They bought our votes in 64, and our votes have pretty much been free ever since then. For the last 50 years, we've just been giving them. They bought them in 64, and we've just been giving them to them. So the return on that investment is, whoo, they got their money's worth 50 times over. And it's time for a new underclass. Something to overwhelm real Americans that are turning against this tyrannical government. And these people, they come from countries where, you know, the socialist paradigm, the heavy-handed government, and dependency, and everything you get is through government. These people are rather accustomed to that. That's not an American mindset, but the people being imported, that is their mindset. They are much more adaptable to a system like that because they came from these kind of systems. So these Central Americans that are being imported to overwhelm us, we can't allow this to take hold, because what they're setting up is a future. Because again, some adults are in there, and they're going to get IDs, and yes, they're going to be a part of our elections. And Eric Holder, he's the biggest criminal this country's ever seen, next to Obama. So these people are going to be voting. And as far as the children being imported, those are future votes. Those are future votes. Something to ensure that long after Barack Obama and Nancy Pelosi, Reid, and all these miscreants that are doing the damage that they're doing to the country now, this is their insurance that their work will continue long after they're gone, because they're counting on these imports to be future loyalists. I mean, for generations to come. So, I mean, the liberal agenda, the liberal progressive agenda, it's been alive and well for 100 years, and they have no plans of ever stopping. And I can't lie, this really does scare me. I mean, we must wake up from this. And we do have to stop this, because once we're overwhelmed, I don't know. I'm really worried that we won't be able to recapture our country through peaceful means at that point. And I'm hoping for the best, but I mean, with no opposition party, because the Republicans are feckless, and they have no problem with what's going on. All they want are a couple of chairmanships. They just want to be in charge of a few things and they'll be happy, but they really don't want to stop anything. And we are the only ones that can stop it. I mean, we saw what went on in Mississippi. I mean, if we, the citizens, don't stand up to this, then they will succeed. And yes, we will lose our country. And this isn't scary talk. This is true. So, I don't know. I just wanted to speak on it, and I did. My name's Tresidential, @Tresidential on Twitter. Thanks for your time.